regional forecast.
Okay.
Is that music in the background?
Yeah. Sorry. Okay, we're on right now. Okay, you guys see me pretty good with both him on both sides? We're taping right now, but it's okay. Hi, welcome to today's Western Angler. I'm your host, Fred Believa. Today we're at a demonstration at the Northern California Skippers Association in Fremont. This is the president here, and this is the gentleman that's going to be giving a demonstration. And what's your demonstration going to be on tonight?
Be salmon mooching out in the Pacific Ocean.
Okay, I'm going to turn it over to the president. He's going to introduce himself and introduce the gentleman who's going to give the demonstration for tonight. Now, it's going to be a long show. Just bear with me, and if we can get 30 minutes in, we'll be lucky. Okay, now let me hook this onto you, and I want to step away, so it's going to be all you guys.
What's on the camera
Okay.
is what you're going to see on the
Yeah.
TV.
Okay, now both of you guys.
are going to have to get together.
Yeah. That's okay if it's only on me. Okay.
Yeah, that was it.
No, wait a minute.
He's over to the left a little.
Okay, go ahead.
I'd like to welcome everybody to the Northern California Skippers Club. I'm Ed Santos, the president, and we're going to have a salmon seminar tonight, and it'll be put on by Donnie Martin, one of our fishermen that does a lot of salmon fishing out here. The first thing I'm going to bring up is the theory of salmon mooching, why we salmon mooch. The way this started with us here at the club, we got the Saltwater magazine that comes out monthly, and we read an article on mooching about 5 years ago. And we took the book out with us and decided to try mooching out of Half Moon Bay one day in the middle of the afternoon. And we went out there and did some mooching there, maybe about a quarter mile off the shore at Half Moon Bay. In a matter of 2 hours, we had limits of salmon, up to 80-something pounds of total limits. It was all big fish, and we thought this is the greatest thing in the world. And this has stopped us from trolling. All of us strictly mooch now, so we're going to get into the mooching, but the first thing I want to talk about is it's real easy to mooch. You take your wife, kids, anything out there, but the main thing you got to do first thing is concentrate on safety. You're out in the ocean out there, and it's an awful big ocean. I recommend if you're going to go out, 2 boats go out. If you got a friend that's going to go out, so you guys could run together. If there's any inkling of bad weather, such as fog, high winds, or anything, don't go out. There's other days to go fishing. We see a lot of small boats out here off of Half Moon Bay now because it's so popular, and I hope most of them know what they're doing out there. I hope they have radios. You should have radios out there, a good compass, and you should be familiar with your compass readings of the area. The Golden Gate Charter Fishing Boat Association president talked to us, and he says that he welcomes boats following them out. He says there's no problem. All he recommends is that you stay behind them. Don't get on the side of them or any place. Stay behind him because he has to make some sharp turns every once in a while, so stay behind him. The reason I stress the compass is you might decide to follow a boat out the gate or something and think you're going to the salmon fishing grounds, and he might be going to Cordell Banks. And if you go to Cordell Banks, you're going a long ways. So know your compass reading, know more or less what a salmon are. If you're following such a boat out and he's taking a reading out there that you're not familiar with, you're going the wrong way. You better find another boat to follow. Okay, now the theory of mooching is what's happening out there is the bait balls up, and you're fishing with an 8.5-foot steelhead rod and just a piece of bait in a 1/4 ounce or an ounce, and you drift along where the balls of bait are. We recommend that if you see a ball of bait, you pick it up on your graph. Looks like a big cloud under there. Don't go directly into it and bust it up. Stay on the outside edge of it. You see birds working a certain area. You might be fishing right here, and you see birds working the other area. Get up and move. There's fish over there. There's something bringing that bait up to the water. But don't bust right into the birds. Stay on the outside edge of it. Don't go into the ball of bait itself. We find out that the smaller balls of bait we seem to have luck with. The bigger balls of bait, there's so much feed there, and the fish are all over the place, it doesn't seem like you get that much action. What you want to do is figure out how deep the ball of bait is. If it's 30 feet, 20 feet, you want to fish below it. You want to put your bait below the ball of bait. The theory is that they're saying that these smaller salmon up on top, knocking the hell out of this bait, and the wounded bait is falling down. You're mooching with a piece of bait like this, and it looks just like a wounded bait going down. The big fish are down below, and they're going to pick them off. They're just going to lay there and pick them off as they come by. They don't have to chase them. All right? Our club in the last 2 years, each year the fish of the year was caught mooching. There was a 49-pound fish caught 2 years ago, a 36-pounder caught. It was all caught on mooching. In the long run, you're going to get bigger fish mooching. You might catch more fish trolling because you cover more of an area, but you're going to catch bigger fish mooching. If you got 1 or 2 or 3 boats out of all your friends, you're going to cover a big area. And keep in contact, because you might get into the fish. This guy's drifting. Call him in right now and set up his drift. We'll get into the mooching now, and Donnie will give a talk on the mooching. He'll start out with the rod and everything. So I'm going to turn it over to Don Martin now, and he'll do the mooching seminar.
Switch over and give him the mic. Now you can have a beer.
We're at break.
The film is going, but we're at break. This is what I'm saving for the bloopers. We're actually still filming, but
I can say thank you, Ed.
you can say right. You can say right now since he pretend like he just introduced you and then say thank you and then he can get out of the way. Wait a minute. Let me make sure I got you. Give me a test on the mic.
Testing.
Go. Again. No, test.
Test.
Okay.
Test.
Wait a minute now. Okay, he just introduced you. Look over to him and say thank you to Susan.
Thank you, Ed. I'd like to get on some of the terminal gear that we're going to use on this mooching. We've got our rods, reels, and our actual hookups. We're going to go right through everything. Our basic rods that we want to use for mooching is any steelhead rod, 8, 8.5, 9 foot is an ideal rod for mooching. You can't go wrong with it. It's got a sensitive tip. This particular rod here is an Eagle Graphite by Fenwick, and it's got real sensitive tip, and this is what you want for mooching. The salmon, when they pick up that bait, you're just barely going to feel it. Just barely going to feel it.
Let's do it again. This time, let me get the tip in when you say that. Go back again. Pick it up.
This particular rod here.
Okay. Pick it up.
This particular rod here is an Eagle Graphite made by Fenwick. It's got enough backbone in it, and it's got a nice sensitive tip.
I lost it. Do it again. Right there. Do it again.
It's an Eagle Graphite made by Fenwick, and it's got a good backbone to it with a nice sensitive tip out there in front, and you can see all the action that's going to take place. when you feel that bite, all you're going to see is just a little tap on that rod. The minute you see that tap, you got to give them line. You got to give them line, and you peel out 2 or 3 feet, 4 feet. You give him, let him take. He's after that anchovy. He's going to swallow it, and what he's doing. He's taking that anchovy. He's grabbed it, and he's mooching it and positioning it in his mouth to swallow it head first. This is why that bite is so light. After you give him some line, you can go ahead and put your rod tip down towards the water. The minute you feel that fish come back, where you have weight, you go ahead and sock it to him. Now, all you got to do is just set the hook in a gentle manner. It's not like sturgeon fishing or striped bass fishing where you really got to bury the hook. These salmon have real soft jaws. Their cartilage is different than a striper or sturgeon. And you're fishing with barbless hooks, so it don't take much once you bury that hook into them. Once you bury that hook into them, that's it. Make sure your drag is loose enough to where he can go if he wants to go, and you're going to have a ball. The battle has just started. At first hookup, sometimes he won't even feel like that he knows he's hooked. And you'll be coming in, you say, gee, I must have about a 5-pounder. He gets up by the boat and you start seeing color. It's a lot bigger fish than 5 pounds. Once he sees that boat, that's when the fight starts. Make sure you're prepared. You don't have your thumb on the spool and your drag is set so that when he goes, he can go without popping that line. If you're only fishing with 15-pound tests, some of the guys, they go as little as 6-pound tests. And this is what it's all about. When you're out there, get your money's worth. Play that fish. Don't worry about horsing them into the boat. You're going to horse them into the boat, you should go to the fish market and buy fish and save $35.
Okay, what's the minimum in size? What's the limit? What's the license? What's the tag? All that.
Okay, wait a minute. You rolling?
What's the size? Yeah, it's all together, yeah.
I don't know what the license is.
No, just say you need a California license and a salmon stamp and a size and the minimum in size, and the limit is 2. So that's
okay. Now,
no.
make sure you have a California license. The minimum size on salmon is 20 inches, and you can keep 2. If you catch a small one that you don't want, and he swallows the bait, which 99 out of 100 times that he's going to have it swallowed down in his throat. You don't want to put the fish in the boat and tear that hook out of his throat. Just cut the leader right at his jaw there. You're talking about a 30-cent investment, and you're saving the fish. So don't bring him in the boat if you don't want him. Now another hookup is the one that we use quite often out here on Half Moon Bay. And it's your slip rig. It's a double hook setup. Again, we're talking with a 15-pound test leader, 6 feet long. Your top hook is a slider. It'll slide. Now Casey's going to rig it up both ways. Head first and tail first. Go ahead, Casey. This is the one we like to use. We had real good success with it the last 2 years. This single hook, we're thinking about trying it this year because we're talking bigger fish. We're going to see what happens.
After you place the first hook through the head and then place the second one back around the tail, you'll have a little bit of slack line in here. You want to cinch up on that. And you can even put a little curl in the bait. Pull tight enough to where you get a little bit of bend in that anchovy. That'll give you a little bit more action. You can vary that bend. You don't have to give any bend at all if you don't want. This is one setup.
This 2-hook setup works kind of neat. The first hook misses them, you have a good chance of getting them with the second hook. And also keeps the anchovy straight. Now this one here is just reverse from the first one that he hooked up. And they both work. Both these hookups work. Have no trouble catching fish with either one. The key is when you feel that first little tap, give them line. If your pole is in the pole holder, just reach over, peel out about 3 or 4 feet of line, put it in free spool, get that pole and bring it out gently so he don't feel no tension on it. Get ready, click it back on, and be ready to set the hook.
Okay, I want to show him one other way of hooking up with a single hook. We probably fish this way most of the time. With that single hook, you take it through the gill plates, bring it back up to the tail, and just put a half hitch in the tail. That's about the only way I fished last year.
That's another effective method. Keeps the anchovy straight. It's got the same Same theory as your double hook setup. You're fishing with one hook. Usually on your single hooks, they have it swallowed way deep. You're not going to lose them. You're not going to lose them if you play them right. There's many, many ways that you can hook the anchovies. I'm sure some people that are into mooching have their own set ways. If you're successful with a certain way, stay with it. Don't change. It's foolish. Why change if you're catching fish?
Well, when you get out there and you got four different rods, hook up 4 different ways.
Now, we like to use this slider on our hookups, this little red slider, for the simple reason, as the winds pick up and you have to increase weight, you got a snap on here, you just unsnap your ½ ounce, and you add a 1 ounce to it. No problem. It's a quick method of changing weights. Our little swivel here, it's a McMahon swivel. This little swivel here has 100-pound test on it. It's a number 5 swivel. It's tested at 100 pounds. So that's quite a thing, being this small. If you fish on party boat, mooching, they like to use the banana, what I call the banana weights, which are these right here. You tie one end to the line here, it goes to your rod, and your other swivel here is for your leader. Same thing. I don't believe on the party boats they use 1 ounce. I think they go from 2, 3, and 4 ounces on up. The bigger the boat, the faster the drift is going to be, because the more wind's going to be pushing against it. Therefore, the more weight you're going to have to use to keep that, like I say, no more than a 45-degree angle on your line. Anything more than that, your line's just raising up. You're not getting down to the depth. And ocean fishing, you can use more than 1 rod. So what you want to do is stagger your footage on your rods. You start one at 20 feet. You can set another one at 30. Your partner can put one at 15, and maybe the other one go down to 45. Until you get into a pattern where they're hitting at a certain depth. Then you want to stay sort of in that range. Now the other method that they're using out there is shim jigging. Shim jigging is a little different than mooching in a sense that mooching you can set your pole in a pole holder and still catch a salmon when he bites. You got that much time to react. Mooching, you got to be holding your pole, because there you got to set the hook the minute he's grabbing your bait. And to bait up on these different jigs, this particular one here is called a shim jig. It's got a little black hair mixed in with it. It's got this fluorescent tape. It's quite effective. There's different ones. This one here happens to have a green hair to it. This particular one is called an oh boy. It's got longer, it's just basically it has a longer tail on it. But the same principle. Then you got your old dependable hair razor. It's on here someplace. Here it is here. This one here has been popular for a long time. And the way you want to hook up on these shim jigs or old boys or hair razors is you want to cut a small fillet off the anchovy. And you want to cut from about the center of the anchovy towards the tail. You want to stay away from the gut area of the anchovy. And all you do is you're just draping a fillet on it right there. Now, if you put your pole in the pole holder and you don't watch it for an hour, after you bring it in, this little fillet will be gone. The salmon already took it. When he comes up, the jig is going to attract him. He's going to come up, he's going to smell this anchovy, and he's going to bite gentle. You're going to feel just a little bite. Just a little bite like that. But the minute you feel some weight on that bite, you got one shot to set the hook, and that's it. If you don't set that hook on that one tug that you can really feel him, he's gone. He is gone. You got anything there, Casey, you want to?
I think that's about it. One other method with the, as far as a weight, some of the guys have been tying a hook on the end of their line, the line that goes directly to the reel, and about 7 or 8 feet up the line, all they're doing is they're half hitching, just looping this rubber band on directly onto the line, just like this. And from there, you attach your weight, which we don't have one here.
There's one right in here. This comes in handy when you don't have a swivel or one of these red sliders. It's what you call improvising.
But it's worked a lot. Enough to where we've switched most of the rods on the boat to fishing this way.
What's kind of neat about this here is you can adjust your leader. You want a 6-foot leader? That's instant. You want an 8-foot leader? Just go more. You can go as far as you want without doing anything except pulling on the rubber band. There you have a 1-foot leader. It's kind of neat. It's kind of neat, and it's someday you might forget all your gear and all you got in your pocket is a rubber band. So maybe you can take a spark plug off your engine and you're in business. Okay, we're... Okay, Eddie, all yours. If I forgot anything, why...
Stand right like that. That's just where we started. And then go ahead and thank him for the presentation and mention his helper's full name, and then I'll scan over there and get him as he stand up so that you are sitting down. There you go. Go ahead and mention your helper's name.
Okay, Donnie, I want to thank you very much for giving that seminar, and I want to thank Casey Martin for helping him out on this thing. He did an excellent job, and I hope you fellows have learned a little bit. There's one thing I want to tell the guys that haven't been salmon fishing. Any salmon that you put in the boat to take home, you're going to have to cut the top of the tails off. Don't forget that. That's very important. Fishing game, if they board your boat out there, you don't even have to be in the dock. You don't even have to be in the dock. They'll cite you for having fish that are not been cut. So remember that. Any fish that you put in that boat to keep, cut the tail sets like this, cut the top of that tail off. Make a good cut, because sometimes they get a little sticky about it if you just cut a little bit. That's very important. The limit is 2 salmon. Remember that. The limit is 2 salmon, and during salmon season, fishing game is there all the time. Okay? And the length is 20 inches. Remember that. They check it. I mean, it's there. You can bet on, especially if the salmon fishing is hot. And that's about the end of our program, and I say, let's go fishing.
Okay. I wanted you guys closer because you have the mic.
Yeah, I forgot. When you went like that, when you went like that, it dawned on me. I was going to get these goddamn anchovies.
Good thing he came back and said about notching that tail.
Hey, Fred, how about the question? You going to put that on too?
No. I think he did a hell of a good job. I think I have more than a half hour just with the demonstration that he had. You guys can ask him questions. I can keep on rolling the tape for you guys, and then I could transfer it later on for your use. But as the show, I think that it was good right there. If we have any answers, any questions, it's going to run over. I'm not going to be able to use it. Let me end it right here, and then I'll look and see how much footage I have. But then I'll use anything. We'll keep on going. You guys can ask him questions or show him tell him to do it again, and I'll film it. Tell him let's see that again, or. I have a hell of a time getting a half-hour show. Let me tell you, I've been working on it for 3 years. I finally got it set. I don't want to push any buttons right now.
It took 3 years to get it.
I said, let's go fishing if it's possible to get that. Us fishing right after I say, let's go fishing.
Yeah. Well, what you do then is I can cut that out, and then we can do it again. Just before well, what I could do is I can cut that and put it on the end where you say that. Yeah. And then if I need to, I could take some footage off the film that's already done, or I can take some later on and do it. But I think we have a half hour. I have to see, what's the numbers on, can you see the numbers on that thing?
320.
Yeah, okay, so we have enough for a half-hour show. So let me end it, and then, no, let me end the show because it's still going. Let me end the show, and then you guys can ask some questions, and I'll just keep on taping.
Oh, turn around.
No, okay. Bob?
Cut the fish around. I want to see it. Cut them off and cut them around.
Wait, let me end the show and then let him do that. Let me end the show. Come on in here. Stand right here. Can you see all of us now?
Yeah.
Can you see us?
But he's still a little bit out.
You want it? You want?
Perfect. Squeeze together, guys. Make a great cut.
Hey, not so close. We don't need so much room here. I mean, so okay.
You're all right.
He needs to be.
Are we okay?
You're in the middle, Fred. So.
Okay. Let me end it.
And then you're blocking him out.
Okay.
No, that's all right. Go ahead, because there's barely enough room for that.
Well, I'd like to thank the Skippers Club again for inviting me over and doing a demonstration for you so you can see it on TV and show exactly what mooching is all about. I know that mooching is actually a new terminology in fishing for us, but it's actually been used for a long time in salmon fishing, and it's just coming into its own right now, and it's very popular, and it's very, very good fishing. In fact, like the president said, and the gentleman who put on the demonstration, that it is very, very good for fishing out in your boats, in your party boats, or in your private boats. Well, I hope you like today's program. This is Fred Beliba. Until we see you again, good luck and good fishing to you. Okay, now you guys can go ahead.
Yeah.
Fish on.
Fish on.
150-pound test.
I know.
You caught yourself, huh?
If you want to ask them some questions or whatever, then in fact we could.
Yeah.
The roundness of the sinker. You may want to tell these guys about
Well, go ahead.
the round sinker.
Yeah,
Well, somebody. Okay, wait till somebody asks you. Let me get on the camera. Let somebody ask you. This is for you guys because I'm sure that we got plenty. And you guys could just go on until as long as you can bear it. I mean, you know, I know that we have plenty here, and this is just for you guys for the club. So
Ready?
go ahead. Somebody ask.
Okay, John, you had a question?
Yes, Don, could you explain to them why you use a round sinker instead of the flat sinker?
I like the little teardrop type sinker, basically because it cuts through the water better. You have less friction. Anything that'll cut through the banana sinkers work real well also. Yeah, you can see the way they're designed to cut through the water. You don't want to use a flat sinker. It'll raise it. It'll raise it considerably.
The sinker I like to use is the kind you use for trout fishing, the eggs with the hole in it. Your egg sinker.
This is the one right
What do
here.
you call them? Barrel sinkers, just like this. The reason I like to use this is when you put the poles in the rack and you're going to make a move, if you got the rubber band or if you got the other one hanging around, it's bouncing around and your line gets tangled up, you can't get in the water fast enough. If you got this egg sinker, it lays there, it doesn't get as tangled, and you can get back in the water before the other guy.
Greedy devil. And one more thing on that sinker there, you were saying about that there is a good method because that other rubber band is bouncing in your pole. It can nick your pole and it'll crack it.
Anyway, I like to use this. It doesn't take, like the other one, to change the weights is real fast, but all you got to do is, if you got to change weights, you don't change weights that often, you just retie another nut and slide a bigger barrel sticker. Go ahead.
Is there one kind of hook you prefer over another one, and why do you choose the kind of hook you use?
We've been picking up on our slip ties just a laser sharp eagle claw. Barbless. They're all barbless. You got to remember that. And this other one is a salmon leader made by Max Lure. You see them in your different bait shops. Both of these type here, Doug's Bait has them. I'm sure the Fish and Dive Shop has them over here also. But our local bait shops have these slip rigs, no problem. They're not expensive, and like I said, if you catch a small fish and you don't want him, just cut it off. Don't bother to tear the hooks out of his mouth. They're just going to kill him.
Like use it once and throw away, huh?
Yeah.
That's it. That's what we do.
Box it, just cut the leader off and leave the hook in there and use another leader because it's only 45 or 47 cents, whatever it is. It's, you might get a fray on it and lose the next fish might be the 50-pounder and you lose it. So start with a new hook every time. It's just because if you're fishing with trolling with salmon, you get a shaker, you're losing $2 for a salmon weight. So 40-something cents for a leader is nothing.
What's the best way to get the fish in the boat? Can you gap them or
No.
net them or
No, net. One thing, when you play these big salmon, make sure the partner that you're fishing with don't get too excited with the net. You're the boss. You've got the pole in your hand, and the fish is at the end of the line.
What do you mean by that?
You run to the front of your whaler, right? You run around the front.
When you feel that you fought the fish where you've licked him, and you have where you can control his head, and you can turn his head towards the boat, then you can tell your partner, go ahead, he's ready, get him now. If he's sideways, or if his tail is facing away from you, tell your partner just to relax. Don't even attempt to stab at him, because what's going to happen, you're going to miss him, and that net's going to get caught on your weight, and they're 15-pound tests. It just breaks like a matchstick. So you're the boss. Anytime you have a fish on, you're the boss. When you're ready to have it netted, let him know. Don't let him get too excited.
Same kind of guys that run snares?
That's a good question, Harry.
You're out there fishing. I like to run one line deep, 50, 60 feet, all the time, myself. You run 25, 30, 12 feet, 40. But I like to run 50, 55 feet, one line all the time. The 49-pounder was caught at 55 feet. See, you're trying to get lucky. And they say there's big fish deep, and you just keep a line out there. Hell, just an extra rod.
Good point.
It's worth it to keep a rod deep. It really is. You might catch some rockfish every once in a while, and they give you a bad time. But sooner or later, you might, you're gonna get something.
General rule is the kings are deep and the silvers are up higher.
We haven't been, John, in Half Moon Bay, we didn't catch no silvers at all last year. We're all kings.
All kings. But they were down deeper.
And the theory that a lot of fellas have, the old pros and the experts, or whatever you want to call them, is the smaller schools of fish, the ones that are really bunched up, the salmon that are running 6 to 8, 9, 10 pounds, that's the main school. These are the ones that are thrashing these balls of bait. These big fish, these lazy fish, they're just on the outside edges and below all this action. And they're catching all the cripples is what they're doing. A big fish ain't going to chase an anchovy. He's not going to waste his energy. He can't catch an anchovy anyway. So,
one thing you got to do if you're going to mooch, and it's a hard thing to do, and I'll tell you the easiest way to get away from it. Don't take no trolling gear with you at all. If you're going to mooch, take your mooching rods with you. Because if you go out there mooching, you got your trolling gear in that boat, and you see them trollers going back banging fish, it's pretty goddamn hard not to start trolling. Because if you're sitting there drifting for an hour and a half, and you haven't had a touch yet, and you're watching these guys boat these 4, 5, 6, 8 pound salmon, that's what the trollers are going to be getting this time of the year. You got to leave that trolling gear home. That's our number one priority after we went out one time. I says, we got to leave that because we can't take the pressure. I tell you, it's just leave it home. That's like having a golf club you can't hit. So why put it in your bag? Leave the goddamn thing home. Don't even put it in the bag. You don't have to worry about it no more. Just like trolling. Just don't take the trolling gear with you. And at mooching, you're not going to be able to mooch on a windy day or a real bad windy day or a rough day, whatever it is. You're going to try, but you're going to have a tough time getting fish. If you got the big sea anchors, they got the big parachute anchors they use to slow you down, but still, it's awful tough to do any good on bad weather. Trolling, you're going to get fish on bad weather. Go ahead, Dave.
What's a common size sea anchor for different sizes of boats?
A boat like Donnie's, that 48-inch parachute anchor we got here.
Okay,
they call it sea
he's got a
brake.
19-foot boat. Okay, so he uses a 48.
It's a 48-inch.
Yeah.
It's called a sea brake. You get them down at Doug's. You can order them through Doug's. They have for you.
There's different types of sea anchors. What are the different types?
The one you have that cone one, which they call a sea anchor, or it's not. They call it a sea anchor, not a sea brake. It's the yellow one, like we got.
That's not the parachute.
No, that's not the parachute. Then you got the sea brake that looks like a parachute. Then you got these other ones that they're buying across the bay someplace. I don't know where they're getting at. They're telling me that they're 6 feet or something, whatever they are. They're supposed to be huge. I've never used one, or even saw one being used, but I know a lot of guys use them out there for the bigger boats. If you got a 25-foot or something like that, you got to slow that thing down. You're just going to be, your line's going to be out like that. You're not going to get no fish. You got to get that thing down under 45 degrees or right at that to get the right action. Because if it sets up high like this, you're not going to get the action at all.
When you get a fish, you have to bring that anchor in?
No, John.
Not really. If you're on the ball, you don't. You can work around it, and if you got your sea anchor out there and you see your fish is running out, let it run out. Let it get past the anchor. Let it make us move around the back of the boat, and then start working it there. Or then if you're going to have trouble, you might have to have a guy up in the bow and pass it under the anchor. But most of the time, you don't have to bring it in.
Fire drill. What's the distance of your sea anchor from the bow of the boat?
We've been running around between 30 and
About 30 feet.
35 feet.
And I see a lot of guys with markers on them, too. If you're going to run away out there, put a drift ball out with your anchor, because the trolls will come by. They might cut you off there. But the sea anchor is, I think, the most important thing in mooching. Most important thing in mooching. There's guys here who'll swear by it now that didn't use it before. Because you'll be drifting, and you're passing these guys up, and you're just going too fast. You watch the guys in the commercial boats, the small commercial boats, and they got those anchors out, looks like they're not even moving. And they're pounding fish like crazy. And you pass them up even with our regular anchors. Any more questions?
Yeah, you might explain to someone who hasn't been mooching before how you gauge your depth.
When you gauge your depth, it's just like if you're if you're trolling. If the guy says 35 pulls, 35 pulls. Then you can watch boats around you, boats that are getting fish. Watch them how many pulls they take out. A lot of guys, if they know you're watching, they'll let their line.
Give you the Skippy J cow.
Yeah, they'll let their hand slip on the line, and think you're going down to 60 pulls, and they're going down maybe just 20. I don't. You see that all the time. Once they see you watching them, they'll do that.
The trade,
They'll do that.
Skippy J's favorite.
But once you get a depth that you're getting fish at, stay at that bait. The fish are there. And once you stay on the outside edge of a ball of bait, you make your drift, pick up, and get back and run the same run again because the fish are there. Watch the party boats. If they're making a drift, get right behind them. Drift right behind them because the fish is there.
Ed, do you mind if I say something on that line? If you guys notice, these reels have this little bar that goes across here. A very good way to do that is to run the line across here one time, pull it out, and go all the way across. And you measure that. And you don't have to pull it out. All you have to do is measure every time it goes across that face of that reel. And you know exactly, and you get out there every single time to the exact depth. I use that in trolling, and I do that effectively. I will go out and it will be the same depth every single time.
Yeah, but almost every time you catch a fish, you cut off some on this way of fishing, so that doesn't hold true.
Pardon? What do you count?
Almost every time you catch a fish, you cut off a hunk of line.
Doesn't matter.
No, it does change. The smaller it gets, the less.
Oh, okay, all right, okay, you're right, okay, all right, okay.
I see, yeah, the smaller the spool is.
You're right, you're right, okay.
Anybody that wants to come up here and
That's like that
see these anchovies or hook them up yourself, you're welcome. We got a whole bag of anchovies here. Anybody wants to experiment, because this bait's going to get all thrown away. Unless somebody's going fishing tomorrow. Anybody going fishing tomorrow?
You put them in some shaking bait when you get out there.
Most of the guys at the seminars like to make that bait crooked, but we don't. We like to keep it as straight as we can. I don't disagree with them, but we try to keep it straight so that the thing doesn't spin. Get everything tangled up if you don't have the right swivels or whatever you're doing. But we seem to do good.
Donnie, could you give a little demonstration on the live bait knot?
That perfection knot? I've never tied that perfection knot. I don't know how to tie that one. Harry, you know how to tie the perfection knot?
No, I haven't tied it.
That's the one. I know the one that Joe showed me.
I do, but it might take me about 20 times to get it right.
Harry's got a couple knots he wants to show us tonight, and that's
Okay, this live bait knot is very essential.
I know.
To this type of fishing. I mean, it works, and
Joe showed me an easier one to tie. That's basically the same thing. I can show that one, but I don't know how strong that knot is.
The guy at San Mateo that gave the seminar, he really stressed that knot, that live bait knot for mooching. This kid is pretty good, and he really stressed to tie that live bait knot on that single hook rig. Just gives you better action on the.
oh yeah, it does.
Gives you better action. You gotta make that bait look like it's injured. That's the key.
That's why they go for that curve stuff. If you watch Charlie White stuff, all of his stuff is. But see, he's trolling like. Or drifting. I think he's anchored up, and the water's going by in the river.
The guy here at San Mateo said, make it crooked. And the other seminar we went made to make it crooked?
When I troll for salmon, I use a bent hook, bent harness hook. And it's got to be bent a certain way in order to get the right action.
Sit it on the table. Take that thing out. Sit it on the table.
The best.
That's the key, is salmon trolling too.
Oh yeah. Even for trolling, you have to get the right action. And you have to have the hook bent the right way. Otherwise, you're not going to get that spin. You get the right spin, you're going to get more action in the water, and it attracts the salmon.
That's why when you're on a party boat, you use the bait they prepare. You don't be a hot shot, prepare your own bait. They do that every day, and they know where to bend the hook and what degree it's supposed to be, and use the tray bait they got there.
Also, there's another type of method used for mooching. It's called the gizzard. And it's not too familiar with Northern California boats, but I think it's become more and more familiar. But it's a type of hoochie rig, and it's burnt on the head end, and you use a fillet, a salted fillet for it.
Now the guy in Sausalito will talk about the kids.
It's really improved.
So, Joe told me somebody went in there the other day and bought the whole shebangs out there. I asked him about,
Gets it?
the white ones, yeah.
Yeah.
You didn't have any today.
I've got a few myself, and I just learned about it last year.
It's supposed to be good.
Oh yeah.
Doug likes it.
Now as far as the baits, you got your tray baits, and you got your sack bait. All right, everybody wants to get this expensive tray bait, and the only thing good about the tray bait, if I think they got green and blue, which are different sizes, I believe, that's the way it works. And if the salmon has been on small anchovies, you would like to get all the same size anchovy. We've always used the bag bait, and you may throw away maybe 25% of it because it's marked up real